How you going, guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. So today's job, we have a D10 blade lift cylinder barrel in for repair. This is one of two cylinders on the dozer and it is used for lifting and lowering the blade. So it first came in to have its trunnion mounts reclaimed. It is quite common over time for the trunnion mounts to wear out. What the trunnions do is they allow the blade cylinder to move forward and move backwards while the machine is in operation. So it is basically the hinge point, and they are then attached to two yokes which then attach to the nose cone of the machine. While I was doing my visual inspection on the component, which we generally check everything over pretty thoroughly because there's usually more to a repair than what the customer already knows about, and I saw there was a few discrepancies in the paintwork around the trunnion mounts, and they are a common place for cracks to occur. Any cylinder that has a trunnion mount welded around it will at some stage of its life crack and fail. And after I ground the paint off, I found the crack that goes around the trunnion, and then I found oil leaching out of it. So that then tells me that the crack has gone all the way into the barrel and now the barrel needs to be replaced. I know that a lot of the repairs I do are on yellow equipment or orange equipment, and that is mainly because my local customers have yellow and orange equipment. This cylinder could be up to 26 years old, so it has well and properly done its life. And I know that because the head flange on this cylinder is flame cut, where the newer series machines are all a cast end. So it is missing a bit of a divot in the end of it where it would have clearance for the pipework to run. Because this needs to be rebarreled and the trunnion mounts reclaimed, my customer couldn't wait for that job to happen. I do have a reman barrel in my exchange fleet, so I gave them my barrel, and then this one will then become my property and go into our exchange fleet. I'm going to go right through it and bring it back to as close to factory standard as I possibly can. So we'll be doing the rebarrel, we'll be doing the trunnion mounts, and I will also be replacing the end of the barrel because it has also suffered a failure at some stage of its life. And I know that because of the weld that is around the barrel end. There are 5 runs of weld, there should only be 1. And after inspecting the inside of the barrel, I can see someone has done a weld repair on the inside. So they removed it, did the repair, and then reattached it. That is another common fail point for these cylinders. And the reason for that is the cylinder rod bottoms out in the end of the barrel. On the piston, there are 2 valves that are supposed to open when the barrel is fully closed and allow oil to bypass. That generally works, but when the dozer is pushing up on a heap and the blade is lifted all the way to the top of its stroke and they are still pushing up that heap, it is pushing the cylinder rods into the ends of the barrel, which ends up doming them, and then they end up cracking, and then you end up with an oil leak. Based on what I can see, that is the failure that happened to this end. It is quite common. And another telltale sign that this has been repaired, there is a relief step missing from the flange where the drop valve bolts onto. Generally, the drop valve has a 2 mil gap between it and the barrel end. On this end, it sits flush. So someone has machined that true again. Because it doesn't have that 2 mil relief, when the rod impacts the end of the barrel, it would simply push the drop valve up, which would then cause the cylinder to leak. And it also has a center in the end of the barrel. That is not a factory thing, so someone has had this apart before. Because it's been repaired by someone else and I don't know how they did it, I'm not gonna risk putting this back on a barrel and sending it to a customer. So the only parts of the barrel we are actually going to be saving is the trunnion mount and the head flange. The rest of the barrel goes straight in the bin. We will still be cheaper to completely remanufacture this than it would be to buy one from the OEM. First thing I need to do, I need to get this set up in the lathe, and then we can start to disassemble the barrel. Conveniently, this barrel end has a center in it already. If this was a factory barrel and it didn't have a center in it, I could use my 4-jaw tailstock chuck to get that set up. So now that it's set up in the lathe, it is really easy for me to use the bed of the machine in order to get my alignment marks, so when I reassemble the barrel, everything goes back in at the same center height. I've also gone through and put 3 center punch marks in each part I'm going to be removing. By using 3 marks, they're a lot easier to identify than just one mark itself. So I'm just going to slow this down a little bit. I've got a lot of harmonics coming back through the barrel. There's not as much support where the cracks are around the trunnion. The material's allowed to move around a little bit more, and the chatter that I'm receiving corresponds with the cracks around the trunnion. So we'll slow it down and keep going. So now that I've got the end off, I can see what they have done. They have done a repair on the inside here, but they've also done a modification where they put a 4mm spacer plate on top of the barrel end and then welded it on, which explains all the extra weld here on the outside. What they have done have eliminated one problem with the rod punching through the end of the barrel, but they've also created another issue where the piston will now bottom out in the end of the barrel, and the two valves that allow oil to bypass when the cylinder reaches its end stroke are now having too much pressure put on them, and it can actually break them off, and then they will be cycled through the cylinder. So if they go through the cylinder, they are as hard can be. They just destroy anything in their path. It's a good thing I'm not going to reuse this. I'm just going to throw it in the bin. So I've nearly machined all the way through the barrel. I don't want it to come flying out because at the moment the only thing supporting that area of the barrel is the tailstock chuck. Rather than it become a hazard and end up being dangerous, I'm just going to demo saw that off and get that piece out of the way. So now I need to machine out the weld on the other side of the trunnion, and to do that I'm going to get rid of the steady rest, and then I'm going to support this end of the barrel with the tailstock chuck. Then I can reach around behind the trunnion, remove that weld, and then I can machine out the weld for the head flange.
you doing? What are you doing? What you got? You don't want any of them. What have you got? Look at all your toys.
So now that's done, I'm going to take it over to the welding area and I'm going to lay some weld on the inside of the barrel, and as that cools it's going to shrink the barrel, and then I should hopefully be able to remove the trunnion and the head flange. Righto, so plan A didn't quite work, and I think the reason for that is there is a bleed off hole that is in the trunnion mount, so when it is welded no pressure is trapped between the trunnion and the barrel. That is also an area where water and debris and dirt can get inside, and then it will actually rust the trunnion onto the barrel. So we're going to try plan B. Alright, so plan B worked. What I did was I heated the inside of the barrel and then I heated the trunnion mount. I then cooled the inside of the barrel, which forced it to shrink, and now you can see the rust damage on the inside, so we will have to give that a grind out before I go to fit that back onto the new barrel, but that is far too hot to touch at the moment. So we're going to get on to making the standoffs that need to be welded onto the barrel. We have 9 standoffs to make. The standoffs are just a threaded piece of bar. So the piece of material we're going to be using, it is a piece of 1045 cold rolled steel. It is 1 banana in diameter. The first thing I need to do, get it set up in the machine. I'm going to put a center in the end of it. I will then drill it with a 10.8mm hole. I will then part them off to length and I will tap the threads in them once I've got all 9 completed. Righto guys, so we've got our 9 standoffs made and our trunnion mount is cool enough now we can actually start repairing it. I'm going to throw it in the lathe and just skim the surfaces I need to lay a weld on because I want them to be nice and round, because at the moment they are a little bit egg shaped. So we'll get it set up in the lathe. Because those surfaces are so far out of round, I'm not going to try and grab them with the 3-jaw chuck. I'm going to spin them between centers. It's not really the ideal way to do it because you're not able to take a great deal of depth of cut, but we're just skimming it to clean it up and then we can take it over the welding area.
Got your worm? You're so fluffy.
Righto guys, so that's cooled down enough now. We can take it back over to the lathe, get it set up and start machining it to suit the bearings. Now that that's done, I'm not going to fit the bearings to it just yet. I will wait until the barrel is completely finished before I fit the bearings. I am going to take the trunnion mount out to our sandblaster just to remove all that rust from the inside of the trunnion mount before it goes onto the new barrel. And while I'm at it, I'm going to give the head flange a quick sandblast as well. Righto guys, so we've got all of our parts prepped, ready to go. We have our new standoffs, our head flange and our barrel trunnion that has been reclaimed. So these are ready to go into our new barrel, but you're gonna have to wait for part 2, where we machine up the new barrel, fit and weld out all these parts, and then it's gonna need honing. So we're gonna be using our new Sun and honing machine. Thanks for watching. Yeah, right. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
It is 1 banana in diameter, and
The banana threw you off.
it is 1 banana in diameter. Fuck. So after finding those cracks, I then did a crack test on it, and I found the cracks. Oh, duh. Because this needs a Because this needs a rebarrel and it needs the trunnion mounts reclaimed, that is gonna really, so I can hopefully remove the trunnion mount and the head flange. Yeah, where am I starting? Keep going. You ready?
Try again.
So rather than try and part that through all the way, that would... I don't want that piece to get loose because it's going to do some damage if it does. Oh, fuck. Right, so I'm nearly all the way through the barrel, so rather than that be a Are you ready?
Yeah. Do you need help?
In a minute, maybe. I don't know if anyone can help. Practice makes fucking perfect. This is what you get for me talking. Fuck off, George. You ready? Fuck off, train.
We now have those as mugs in our merch shop.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Where's mine?
Oh, I should next time just be like.
You ready?
Well, are you going to test where it goes?
I'm just gonna fucking wing it.
Oh, that is so close.
It's actually not. Not really. Miles of room.
Hello.
Hey, bug it off. Fuck me.
Oh no. What was
Under the
that?
lathe.
Oh, so that was the one that you dropped. You need. Oh no.
It's right there.
Oh.
It's hiding. Really? Excellent start.
What just happened?
Come here. It fell in. Oh, stuck my hand.
Good. That's great.
Glad it could have helped.